Hey folks, this is Giga. This is going to be a guide video for dealing with commanders. What are commanders? Commanders is one of the three fleet types that can appear after tier 14 during farming and after wave 1000 in legend tournaments. So this is mostly relevant to mid to late game players. Let's first understand why commanders are so dangerous and why we need multiple ways to deal with them. What do commanders do? Well, they do mysterious things, apparently. The in-game description says that they boost enemies' health, and indeed they do. Although what the description miss, they not only boost the health once. If something is within the commander's radius, the commander will continuously set the enemy's health or add 20x of the enemy's health continuously every time it pauses. So things inside commander's radius are basically immortal, and even after the commander dies, they tend to live on for a long time. Not only that, but commanders, at least according to my observation and many others, also buffs the enemies in many other ways. My theory is that the commander buffs the enemy's speed as well as mass. And every time the commander pauses, if an enemy is inside that pause, it actually applies a stacking buff. So every time it pauses, it gets more and more speed. And eventually the enemies will start to teleport because the game engine cannot handle that much speed. And the massive bonus to the enemy's mass also would result in sort of a knockback resistance effect. And so you can, at some point, you can no longer push the enemies back. So they will kind of crawl onto a tower. In a lot of cases, the commanders, if not killed quickly, are the run enders. Compare that to Overcharge. Overcharge just sits there and shoots. The damage of Overcharge is so low that anybody with some amount of EHP is going to have no problem handling the damage. And there are many ways to handle the Overcharge. Overcharge is meant to be encouraging players to build more EHP, and Commander is meant to be handled by flat damage and encourage players to build more flat damage. But in the case of Overcharge, you can actually just handle it with more damage because the bounce shots can bounce to it, and you can kill it with chain lightning and your smart missiles. Of course, the intended way to handle Overcharge is to have EHP to tank the Overcharge shot. Kill it with Thorn in this case. As a matter of fact, you don't even need EHP to handle Overcharge because you have these hard mitigations, right? And I call them percent mitigation, just like percent damage. So these are things like Energy Shield, Mischance, Dastify. You can use these to handle Overcharge without theoretically any EHP. Although nowadays it is harder. There are various decays. There is Mist Decay, there is Stun Decay, there is Dastify Decay. So it's a bit harder, but it's still doable, just a bit more luck dependent. And the reason why I call these percent-based mitigation is because no matter how big the damage is, like the damage could literally be infinite, as long as you have a energy shield left, you will mitigate that damage. Just like percent damage is no matter how much health they have, you will always deal that percentage of their health. So as mentioned, commanders are meant to encourage players to build flat damage. Well, there are two places where this is going to be very difficult or near impossible. One is nowadays we have Disso runs, right? And there's the attack Disso and there's the ultimate weapon Disso, and both of them basically takes away all of your attack power. You're going to need other ways to handle the commanders if those are causing you a problem during these Disso runs in tier 14 and up. Another place where this becomes very relevant is High Legend. So High Wave Legend Tournament has overheat mechanics that take away health and attack levels. I will demonstrate this with some of these recent footage. This is a recent tournament run you'll notice that my wall health is really low at only a few hundred billion. Normally, my wall health is almost one big Q. This is because in version 28, they added the Legend Tournament overheat mechanic that kicks in after wave 1500, where every 10 waves after that, you lose 40 levels of HP and 28 levels of attack. So eventually, both of them will go to 0. So in this case, a overcharge is going to show up now, and that's going to end my run because I don't have enough HP to tank it, and I was not lucky enough to trigger percent mitigation. This is another run where the health actually did go to level 0. Funny enough, the decrease to your current level could be more than your max level. And here we have the damage close to being reduced to 0. As to why players lose HP faster than damage, TTG did not give an official answer, but many players believe this is because enemy wave health and wave damage scaling are different. Enemy health scales faster than their attack, which means you need more damage to compensate. However, we know that with the new Diesel feature, flat damage is getting almost 729 times bonus when everything is maxed, versus HP is only getting 9 times. So that should more than make up the scaling rate difference between enemy health and HP. Because of the faster rate that HP is taken away, it does create a lower ceiling for HP focused tower. This is because there's a big difference at the point where you have 1% of your HP versus you have 0% of your HP. If your HP power is at 1%, if you were to, in theory, boost that, say, to 100 times its original value, that's going to be still a significant amount of EHP. And so the point at which it hits 0 is significant because no matter how much resource and time you then invest in this stat, 0 is always 0. So therefore, damage having a few hundred waves higher ceiling, which is a few hundred waves where they do not hit 0, does create a higher ceiling for damage focused towers. Now let's talk about the different ways to defeat commanders. All of these methods have been discussed publicly on the main Discord, Reddit, and other places. Here I'm aggregating those methods for you, and let's get into it. Number 1. Kill with flat damage. It's not that interesting, so we'll skip. Number 2. Kill commander with Storm by pushing it to the wall. Here we have a tournament run during intro sprint. As you can see, there's a commander on the screen getting pushed closer and closer to the wall by a giant ball of enemies. So commanders, you think they're not attacking your tower, but in fact, every time they pulse, it is considered an attack. So if they're in physical contact with your wall or the main tower, they will take Sorin damage. So we want to have this set up at close to minimal range. In this case, I'm running this at 30 meters. You can make this work at higher range, but the closer the better because it's shorter distance that the commander has to travel. The first commander, as you can see, has already been crushed under the weight of Tank Ultimate. Tank Ultimate in this case actually helps us in this setup and making this faster and more consistent. So as the black holes and the enemies rotate, as you can see now the second commander is getting pushed close to the wall. And anytime, as soon as that black hole rotate, that ball of enemy should push it to the wall completely. There we go. And regardless of Tank Ultimate, having the right amount of shockwave is also going to help. Usually I like the shockwave at size 2.0 for this setup. So here we have another tournament. This was version 27. But in this tournament, we had no orb resistance, we have no tank ultimate. So without orb resistance, it actually gets a little bit difficult to accumulate a ball of enemy to push the commander in. But in this case, as you can see, we can still use the sheer number of elites that's piling on to push the commander towards the center. Because the commander buffs the mass and speed of all of the enemies in its radius, the physics engine makes it easier for those enemies to then push the commander to its demise. And in this case, electrons are not strictly needed, but they do speed up the process. And here we have a farming run, tier 18 farming. So this is most useful in a farming run, in my opinion, because it allows you to reliably get rid of commanders fully AFK. This does not require any microcontrols or very convoluted setup. It's just going to take care of all the commanders automatically if you set up your Shockwave and Black Hole and Tower range correctly. This by itself does not enable infinite runs because in the process of pushing the commander in, you typically take some damage from certain sources, and eventually you may just die to overcharge. Though not infinite, it does help your farming runs significantly by boosting the consistency and predictability of your runs. Because one of the biggest problems is when a commander shows up during your farming run, it prematurely ends your run, even though you have enough HP to tank enemies for another 1,000 waves. And depending on when the commander shows up, your run can have variable lengths which impacts many resource gains. Number 3, kill with Smite, aka Smite Toggle. OA or other percent damage sources required, and OA being the easiest one. To start, we have to turn off Smite in anticipation of a commander showing up, or you could just leave it off the whole time. You need to run the tournament once before to get the fleet spawning data, or you could get the fleet spawns from your friend because the fleet spawn seeds are consistent for all players in a tournament. The way this works is the Smite deals 60% of wave health at max level. So you use OA or other percent damage source to weaken the commander enough such that when you turn on Smite, it deals exactly the percentage of wave health, which in this case executes the commander. So as we can see, we're almost at 20 waves since the commander spawns. Your tower does have to be strong enough to survive enough waves for OA or other percent damage source to get the commander to be weak enough. And here, we're going to turn on Smite, and the commander instantly evaporates. And we have a few more examples of this. Turn it on, the commander dies. Leave it off, turn it on, boom. Leave it off, turn it on, boom. This is a bit micro-intensive, but can help you deal with commanders. This again does not enable infinite runs because you have limited number of times you can toggle your ultimate weapon configurations during a run. And the reason why you have to turn Smite on and off is because Smite can only hit 100 times. At 100 times, at max Smite level, you will deal 60% of the wave damage. But if you dealt all 100 hits before the commander is weak enough, then it's essentially wasted. The commander cannot be killed by Smite in that case. That's why you need to leave it off, get it weakened, and then turn it on to execute. The Smite and Sorn are two of the only percent-based damage sources that can kill commander nowadays. Orbital Augment deals a percentage of the enemy's remaining health, but not the remaining health, so it can never be used for execution. The attack chip deals a percentage of the enemy's missing health, though currently it cannot execute fleets. The in-game description does not mention anything about fleet, so the attack guardian is supposed to be able to kill commanders and overcharges, so this is believed to be a bug. But currently, the attack chip is a good source of percent-based damage to weaken the commander to help the smite toggle. Number 4. Change commander to another fleet type with the wave skip card. Greeny has a more detailed video on this exact method, and he has some video demonstration of that, so I will not go too deep into this method, but essentially everyone's fleet seed in a tournament is consistent, except you can manipulate this seed by equipping or inequipping your wave skip card. So by knowing the fleet spawn data ahead of time, either by running the tournament once or twice yourself or getting it from your friends, you could use the wave skip card to manipulate the fleet spawn type to transform commander into a overcharge, or vice versa, an overcharge into a commander, depending on what you have more trouble with. There are other methods of defeating the commander that I would not discuss in this video, because those are a bit controversial. Regardless, the number of methods that can defeat a commander shows that this game indeed has a lot of diversity in terms of how one can play the game. And that is why I love this game. And I appreciate the developers for making these choices possible. Thank you for watching this video and hope you found the guide useful. I'll see you in the next video. Forge your own path.
Your tower gets the jitters every time my judgment starts to spin. I watch your little tactics fall apart before they even begin. My disco-driven engine hums a warning in the air, a spiral spinning verdict with a cold and blinding glare. I'm charging up my heartbeat like a turbine in the heat. I'm scanning for a challenge, but you're mostly just petite. The light is a tether, your logic is severed. Your health is melting faster than a popsicle in June. I hum a little melody, a slightly off-key tune. Turn it up, my laser heart is thrumming with electric will, a radiant corruption in a cosmic disco thrill. You scramble your array to try and target the elite, but still your system's panicking, your weaklings flee in heat. The tower circuits tremble, they can't handle my radiant beam. Your glass cannon sweating, honestly, he's looking pretty thin. One touch from my golden beam and he's a has-been in the bin. You reprogram your focus, try to shift priority, but nothing breaks my tether. I'm the son of this whole city. Your cannons strike the lowly ones who stumble through the dust, while I turn your flagship hero into decorative rust. I'm spinning like a dervish, charging up my light. Your targeting is dithering, it's gonna be a night. I'm spinning, I'm winning, your lifesteal's in the basement and you're losing all your hair. Turn it up, my laser heart is thrumming with electric will.